millions of secret documents, powerful names, and questions the world is still asking. What are the Epstein files? And why are they causing global shockwaves even today? Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about one of the most controversial and disturbing cases of modern times, the Epstein files case. This video is purely informational, based on publicly available facts, not rumors or accusations.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
In the mid-1970s, Jeffrey Epstein was not a billionaire, not a convicted criminal, but a teacher. From 1974 to 1976, Epstein taught physics and mathematics at the exclusive Dalton School on Manhattan's Upper East Side. Even then, questions surrounded how he got the job despite lacking formal teaching credentials. By the late 1980s and 1990s, Epstein had become a wealthy financier, managing money for billionaires. However, no one could clearly explain how he made his fortune. As per Million of Epstein files documents, Epstein had extraordinary access to powerful people. His social circle included politicians, billionaires, celebrities, royal family members, according to BBC News. What are the Epstein files? The Epstein files are thousands of pages of documents related to two criminal investigations into sex trafficking by financier Jeffrey Epstein and his accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell. These documents, which include travelogues, recordings, and emails, have been a topic of conversation since Epstein's death in 2019 on December 2025, in accordance with Epstein Files Transparency Act. The Department of Justice released hundreds of thousands of documents. Those files included some never-before-seen photographs of former USA President Bill Clinton and other celebrities. A subsequent release of some 30,000 pages of documents included mentions of Trump flying on Epstein's plane in the 1990s. On 30th January 2026, 3 million more documents were released. Information that will not be released is anything that identifies survivors, involves national security matters, is subject to ongoing investigations, involves explicit depictions of harm to children. Jeffrey Epstein was a wealthy financier and convicted sex offender who ran a network involving the sexual abuse and trafficking of numerous girls, many of them minors at that time. His crimes spanned years and several locations in the United States and abroad. Epstein and his associates would sometimes approach girls and young women with promises of money, modeling opportunities, or other support. In some cases, girls were told they could earn money by giving massages under his network. Girls, some of them minors, were sometimes asked to bring their friends or others to Epstein residences. They were promised and paid cash for each person they brought in, which expanded the exploitation. Epstein did not operate entirely alone. Ghislaine Maxwell, later convicted of sex trafficking, and other aides were implicated in building contact lists, arranging meetings, and recruiting new girls. Epstein has abused girls on his properties in Florida, New York, Paris, and Mexico, and many other locations. In Florida, Epstein owned a large mansion in Palm Beach, where many of the first documented abuses occurred. Girls were recruited locally to come for paid massages that turned into sexual abuse. The another main location is in New York City, where underage victims were brought, abused, and trafficked. And last one of Epstein's most infamous properties was Little St. James Island, often called by locals as Pedophile Island, according to multiple victims. Epstein used his wealth to recruit underage girls, fly them on private jets, abuse them at his properties. Some victims claimed that powerful guests were present. Zorro Ranch, New Mexico. Epstein owned a large ranch near Santa Fe, New Mexico, where several women later testified that they were abused during trips there. Epstein owned aircraft, including the so-called Lolita Express, used to fly girls between locations and possibly abroad. In March 2005, police opened a criminal investigation into Epstein in Palm Beach, Florida, After a 14-year-old girl's parents say he paid her for a massage, police gather more allegations from underage girls who say he sexually abused them at his mansion in encounters that often began as massages. Federal prosecutors later say the abuse began as early as 2002. In July 2007, Epstein attorneys meet with the U.S. Attorney's Office. Prosecutor was then U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, who in 2017 would become President Trump Labor Secretary. In 2008, Epstein was charged with soliciting sex from a minor in Florida. This should have resulted in a long prison sentence. Instead, Epstein received an extraordinarily lenient plea deal. He served 13 months in jail, was allowed to leave jail 6 days a week for work. His associates were protected from prosecution. This deal caused outrage. Many believed Epstein was being protected because of his powerful connections. For years after this, Epstein continued living freely until 2019.
Former U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta is on the hot seat on Capitol Hill today. Members of Congress are asking Acosta about that plea deal cut with Jeffrey Epstein back in 2008. It allowed Epstein to avoid a federal trial by sending him to prison for 13 months on state prostitution charges involving minors.
In July 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was arrested again, this time by federal authorities. He was charged with sex trafficking of minors in New York and Florida. This time, the charges were serious. He faced up to 45 years in prison. Public pressure was massive. People believed that finally, Epstein would be forced to reveal the truth: who helped him, who participated, who was protected. Epstein was denied bail and placed in Metropolitan Correctional Center, New York. On 12 July, Acosta resigns as Labor Secretary, saying the Epstein matter is a distraction from his agency's work. 10th August 2019, Epstein is found dead in the Metropolitan Correctional Center, the federal detention facility where he was being held in Manhattan. The New York City chief medical examiner later concludes that Epstein died by suicide, but almost immediately, serious questions emerged. Security cameras outside his cell were not working. Guards assigned to check on him fell asleep. Epstein had been placed on suicide watch, then removed. The coincidence of failures shocked the world. Social media exploded with one phrase: Epstein didn't kill himself. Epstein accuser Virginia Roberts Giaffer sues longtime Epstein confidant and associate Ghislaine Maxwell for defamation after Maxwell called her a liar for claiming to be a victim of a sexual conspiracy run by Maxwell and Epstein. In 2021, Maxwell was found guilty of helping Epstein operate a sex trafficking ring that preyed on teens and young women and is currently serving a 20-year prison sentence. Epstein crimes were not isolated incidents. They involved a systematic exploitation of vulnerable girls and a network of recruiters and enablers. The system has failed to let the truth come out. While Jeffrey Epstein died before trial, Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted for her role in the trafficking network. But for many victims, justice still feels incomplete. This case reminds us how power, money, and influence can silence the vulnerable unless the truth is exposed. Stay informed, stay aware.